Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and welcome back as we go through the Board Game Geek, biggest board game website on the internet, and the top 100 ranked games at this point in time as I record this video, and it could change at any point. And it has changed, because the last time I did this video was 2 years ago in 2018. It is now February 2020 as of the recording of this. So I'm just taking a look at the games here. We're going to finish off the top half of the 100 with 60 through 51 here. Take a look at these games, tell you what I think of them. There are 4 in the top 100 I haven't played, but I've played the rest, and tell you why I think they're there. The reason I mention that is because the first one here is one I have not played yet. Number 60 is Everdell. Now, Everdell kind of came out, I won't say it came out of nowhere, but it's definitely a game that did not get a lot of buzz before it came out that I felt, but as time has gone by is just stronger and stronger. This wasn't on the list last time, it just came out. It came out a little bit after I did the list last time, and I think a lot of it is the artwork, which is very reminiscent of things like Red Wall and Watership Down, and there's this big tree which is somewhat controversial because, I mean, it's, from what I understand, it's cool, and also can block your view if you don't have it in the right spot. But the resources and the art and the collection and the engine building, this feels like the type of game that I will really love. And there's really no excuse for me not having played it, other than the fact that I just don't have time to play every game in the world. But I say 2020 is the year Everdell will get played by me. So looking forward to giving this one a whirl, and I'm not surprised that it's on the list. Number 59 was 43 last time, and this one is going to fall out of the top 100 probably eventually, and that's because it's Twilight Imperium 3rd edition. Why is it going to fall out of the top 100? Because Twilight Imperium 4th edition is out now, so people are just going to stop rating this one, and the ratings don't go away, ratings don't decay on Board Game Geek as time goes by, but new people will stop adding their ratings, and some people may even go in there and rate Twilight Imperium 3 lower because the 4th one's out. The 4th really should have been called Twilight Imperium 3.5. I mean, there's not the huge change that we saw between the 2nd and 3rd editions, but for many years, this was a definitive edition of the game, and a lot of people liked it. I like it too, just don't always have the 6 to 8 hours that's required. Then we have the next one here. 58 was 55 last year, 55 last time, staying strong, and that's Clank, a deck building adventure. So Clank took deck building that was introduced in Dominion, and interesting enough, it's higher rated than Dominion, and have you go into a dungeon and go in there and grab stuff and get out. It's kind of a push your luck game, and it allows you to do things with the deck that other games did not let you do. Most deck building games, you build the deck and that's done with. Here, you're moving these adventurers around in this place, getting cards that allow you to move, fighting monsters, and then just trying to get out without getting killed. There's actually player elimination in Clank. Very rare, and if it happens to you, you deserved it. You know, you pushed your luck a little bit too far. But I like the art, I like the theme, I like the clever use of this, and this works really great as a game for new people to play. And so that's a lot of fun. There's lots of maps for it now. They came out with Clank in Space and Clank Legacy, both of which are also very popular. Number 57, which was 48 last time. So Days of Wonder is known for making great gateway games. Games that get people in the hobby, like Ticket to Ride and Memoir 44. But one of their more gamery games is 5 Tribes. And 5 Tribes simply is just a game that people enjoy playing. It looks colorful and bright. It has all these pieces, and it takes the Mancala thing where you pick up a group of people and you drop them down, and then depending on how you drop them, depending on the colors, there's you get to do different actions. It's very thinky. It's a game that I'm not as enamored with as other people are, although the first expansion helped me out enjoying it more a lot. And this is a game that's growing on me a little bit more as time goes by. So even though it's dropped a little bit in the rankings from 48 to 57, I think we'll see this one in the top 100 the next time I make this list. All right, last time I talked about Vitella and Lisboa, which had jumped on the list. Now we have an older game than that, the Gallerist. This is 56. Last time it was 67. You know, it's very rare that Mr. Lacerda's games get almost any criticism, but I think part of the reason for that is people who don't like his games don't play them. This is one of his games that I have played. I liked it. I just felt on a personal level that it was very overwrought for all the things that went on. When it was done, I was like, that was good, but that was a lot of work to get where we're going. That's just not my style, but I can understand why people do enjoy these games. This one has a theme about opening up a gallery and people buying paints, and a lot of the theme works. Some of the theme doesn't make any sense at all. Like on the left hand of the screen here, you can see, there you go. You can see all those little tiles and putting people out, and that doesn't mean anything theme-wise to me, but it does make sense in the gameplay, at least. So there's a lot of cool ideas here. A little bit of interaction as you try to steal visitors from other people's galleries to come into your own. And like I said, very, very popular game. On the other end of the complexity scale, number 55, which was 46 last time, is Lords of Waterdeep. Now, I'm not saying this game is super easy, but what this game is, it's a Euro worker placement set in the Dungeons & Dragons universe. When I first heard about it, I thought it would be pretty bad. Happily, it's not. Happily, there's a lot of really cool ideas in this game. It plays very quickly. Well, not very quickly. I guess it can take 2 hours. But it just, the idea of moving around in the dungeons or in the town, collecting the different people that you need to send out on quests, it's very Euro-y. In fact, you could, these cubes here, you could call this, you know, cloth and wool and coal and stuff, and that you need to fulfill a shipment. It would be the same thing. But because it's a Dungeons & Dragons theme, it's more interesting. Secondly, it brings people in the hobby who wouldn't come in otherwise. And so I'm really glad to see this one up there, and it's still a game that I enjoy playing now. Number 54 was 42 last time, and I want to say at some point this was in the top 10, and that is the ever-popular Caylus. Now, interestingly enough, this year they came out with Caylus 1303, I think, is the title, which is a streamlined, updated version, and I think it's much better than the original one, although, you know, opinions are going to vary on that. I don't know if that one will crack the top 100 or not, but this worker placement game, which is one of the first ones out there, and also one of the meanest games. As you can see here, there's the path. You're going to be placing different workers on these different buildings, which give you resources to build other buildings and get points, your typical stuff. But there's this provost piece that if you build, if he does not move all the way up to where your workers are placed in a building, nothing happens, and people can move him backwards to make it so that when you place stuff in a building, you get nothing. So there's a lot going on in this. It's not that heavy, but it's definitely very confrontational, and it's a game a lot of people like. And these are, there you go. That's what the game looks like. Very boring and drab looking, at least in this original game here, but one that just knocked people's socks off. All right, number 53 was 53 last time. What is this magic? This is one of Uwe Rosenberg's games that does not get as much love as the rest, but is obviously still highly rated, and that's Fields of Arle. Now, the reason you don't hear as much about this one is because it is solely a two-player game, unless you buy the expansion, which adds a third player. I've not played with the expansion yet. I heard it's quite good. But I like Fields of Arle. It's a great two-player game in which you are placing workers, and there's a little bit of a tug-of-war aspect in parts of the board. And it has a very similar feeling to games like Le Havre and Agricola and Caverna. But again, it's two players, which is one of the reasons that I was not as enamored with it, that I wouldn't want to keep it, because I said if I want to play a game like that, I'll play Caverna and Agricola, and then I can also play those with more than two people. And this one, you're kind of stuck with just a two-player thing. But it is really well done, and I've considered bringing this one back to the table because sometimes you do want to play a very in-depth, amazing two-player game, and Fields of Arle fits that spot. Speaking of in-depth, our next game, number 52, which was 47 last time, is definitely the most in-depth Euro war game, I guess. That's Dominant Species. Dominant Species from Chad Jensen, who is a war game designer, is another game that looks horrifically boring. I mean, look at that. It's cubes and cones. I've actually replaced the pieces in the Dice Tower library with animal pieces because I think they look cooler. But this is a game where you're going to take a species and then try to make them survive. And you're going to grow them across the board and evolve them and do things. And it's done so with a worker placement aspect to it. Also with crazy powerful event cards, which will really hurt people's species. I mean, there's a very strong take that element to this game and a very strong strategic element. And I think this game will appeal to war gamers, not necessarily people who want to play a more calm, Euro game where I'm not necessarily affected by other players. They're going to affect you in this game. And so there's a lot going on in this game. It is a fairly lengthy game for this style. It could be 3 to 4 hours. But the people who like it love it, and there's a reason it's high on this list. And then finally, the top 50 here, 51, or the bottom 50, the highest one, which was 39 last time. It comes from the master designer Richard Breese. He's done many games in the Key series. This is certainly one of the most popular, and that's Keyflower. Now, Keyflower is a game that I enjoy. I like Richard Breese's games for the most part, although it has kind of a funky theme. You are using these little meeples to bid on tiles, and you build these tiles in a tableau, and there's, you're building a little thing up. But there's 3 different meeples, and you're basically using them as currency, and there's 3 different types of currency. So it's kind of a weird auction. It's definitely a game that you can't think about the mechanism, the theming too much, or it starts going a little crazy for you. But I do like how you build your own little area in front of you with these tiles, and the auction of it's very thinky and very good. It is not my favorite Richard Breese game, actually, but I do know that it's most people's favorite, which is why it's number 51 on the list. So there you go, folks. That's 10 more games in the Board Game Geek Top 100. We have 50 more to go. I'll see you then. Until then, I'm Tom Vasel. Thanks for watching.